Madonna. A name everyone knows. A name that changed the music industry forever. She built her career on pushing boundaries, reinventing herself, and proving her critics wrong. From pop anthems to controversial performances, she has never backed down. But today, she's not on stage. She's in a courtroom. The case is big. The media is watching. Paparazzi crowd outside, waiting for a glimpse of the queen of pop. Inside, a ruthless lawyer sits across from her. He's famous for tearing people apart with his words. Cold, calculated, and ready to win. He doesn't see Madonna as a threat. To him, she's just another celebrity who won't stand a chance against his sharp tongue and legal expertise. He smirks, ready to humiliate her in front of everyone. But what happens next is something no one expects. Madonna isn't just any celebrity, and she isn't about to let some arrogant lawyer define her. What starts as a simple courtroom battle soon turns into a legendary showdown. And when it's over, the world will be talking about her unexpected clapback. Because this time, Madonna's words won't just entertain, they'll win the case. The courtroom is packed. Reporters, legal analysts, and curious spectators fill the seats. Everyone wants to witness what promises to be an explosive case. Cameras flash outside as news anchors speculate about the outcome. At the center of it all sits Madonna. She's calm, composed, and dressed elegantly, confident but not flashy. She knows all eyes are on her. She's been in the spotlight for decades, but this is different. On the other side of the courtroom, the lawyer smirks. His name is Richard Langston, a legal shark. He's taken down CEOs, politicians, and Hollywood elites. He doesn't lose, and today he's ready to add Madonna to his list. The case itself is serious. It's a contract dispute, a multi-million-dollar deal gone wrong. The details are complex, but Richard doesn't care about that. He has one goal: to make Madonna look weak, foolish, and out of touch. The judge enters. The room goes silent. The trial begins. Madonna's legal team presents their arguments, clear and professional. But Richard isn't listening. He's waiting for his turn. He wants the spotlight. And when he gets it, he goes in for the kill. This isn't just about the case anymore. It's about power. And Richard thinks he already knows the winner. Richard Langston leans forward, adjusting his tie. His confidence is unshakable. He looks at Madonna like she's already lost. Then, with a smirk, he begins. "Miss Ciccone," he says, using her legal name instead of Madonna. A subtle move to strip away her status. "Let's be honest here. You've had a long career, longer than most expected. But tell me, when was the last time you were actually relevant?" A low murmur spreads through the courtroom. Some reporters scribble furiously, others smirk, waiting to see how she reacts. Madonna doesn't flinch, she watches him, waiting. Richard continues. His voice is smooth but sharp like a blade. "Your so-called legacy is built on controversy, not talent," he says. "Wardrobe malfunctions, provocative performances, media stunts. Isn't that right?" He pauses, pretending to think. "I mean, we all remember the 80s, the 90s, but let's be real, that was decades ago. And yet, here you are, expecting us to take you seriously in a legal matter?" He chuckles, shaking his head. "Tell me, Miss Ciccone, do you think you're still the queen of pop? Or just someone who refuses to step aside?" A few whispers, some quiet laughter. Richard's confidence grows. He isn't arguing the case, he's attacking her identity. He leans in, voice lower, but just as sharp. "You built a career on reinvention, but you can't reinvent the truth. And the truth is, you're just another celebrity who doesn't know when to quit." Silence. The courtroom waits, but Madonna doesn't rush, she doesn't fumble, she just sits there, completely still. Then finally, she lifts her gaze, and when she speaks, everything changes. Madonna finally speaks. Her voice is calm, controlled. There's no anger, no panic, just confidence. "You seem very interested in my career, Mr. Langston," she says, tilting her head slightly. "Tell me, do you always research your opponents this much, or am I just special?" A few chuckles ripple through the courtroom. Richard shifts slightly in his seat. He wasn't expecting humor. She continues, her eyes locked onto him. "You call my career a series of stunts. That's an interesting take. But let's look at the facts, shall we?" She gestures slightly. "I have 300 million records sold worldwide. I hold the record for the highest-grossing solo tour by a female artist. And I didn't do that with stunts. I did that with hard work, innovation, and knowing exactly who I am." Richard opens his mouth to interrupt, but Madonna isn't done. "You say I'm outdated, but last time I checked, my recent tour sold out in minutes. People still pay to see me. My name still fills stadiums. My music is still streamed by millions. So tell me, Mr. Langston, if that's irrelevant, then what exactly does success look like to you? The room is silent now. The energy has shifted. Richard recovers, forcing a smile. That's nice, Miss Saccone, but this isn't about ticket sales. This is a legal matter. You're not on stage. Madonna nods. Exactly. Which is why I find it odd that instead of discussing the actual case, you're more interested in discrediting me personally. She folds her hands. You came here today thinking I'd be an easy target, that if you mocked me enough, I'd crack, that I'd shrink under your words. She leans forward slightly. But you underestimated me. A murmur spreads through the room. Richard's smile fades. Madonna continues, her voice firm. You see, I've spent my entire career proving people like you wrong. People who tell me what I should be, how I should act, when I should stop. And every time, I've pushed forward. Because I don't play by other people's rules. I make my own. Richard tries again. Miss Saccone, this isn't... Madonna holds up a hand, stopping him. You said I built my career on reinvention. That's true. She pauses, then delivers the final blow. And that's exactly what I just did. To you. Silence. Richard looks rattled. He knows he just lost control. And the judge is watching closely now. Richard Langston clears his throat. He shifts in his chair, gripping his pen a little tighter. For the first time in his career, he feels the ground beneath him shake. The courtroom isn't on his side anymore. The energy has changed. It's subtle, but undeniable. Reporters glance at each other, sensing the moment. Even the judge, who had been neutral until now, leans forward slightly. The spectators sit up straighter, waiting to see what happens next. Richard tries to regain control. He forces a chuckle, shaking his head as if Madonna's words were nothing but a performance. Well, he says, flipping through his notes, that was passionate. But this is still a court of law, and no amount of celebrity storytelling changes the facts. Madonna doesn't react. She doesn't need to, because the judge speaks first. Mr. Langston, the judge says, his voice measured, I'm going to ask you to stay focused on the case. I understand your approach, but I'd prefer we stick to legal arguments rather than personal attacks. Richard stiffens. This wasn't supposed to happen. He was in control, until now. He nods quickly, scrambling to pivot. Of course, Your Honor. But the damage is done. Madonna, still poised, tilts her head. I agree, Your Honor. It would be nice to discuss the actual case now. A quiet ripple of laughter moves through the room. Richard clenches his jaw. He flips through his papers, trying to recover, but his usual confidence is gone. His questions are weaker now, less aggressive. And Madonna? She answers every single one with clarity and precision. She never stumbles. She never hesitates. The lawyer who once controlled the room now looks small in his chair. And everyone can see it. The courtroom is silent. The tension is thick. Everyone is waiting. Richard Langston sits stiffly, his hands clasped together on the table. He no longer looks like the confident, ruthless lawyer who walked in this morning. He looks like a man who just realized he miscalculated. Badly. Madonna, on the other hand, remains composed. She doesn't fidget. She doesn't look nervous. She's been here before, in different forms. Scrutiny, judgment, doubt, and every time, she's come out stronger. The judge clears his throat and picks up the case file. The moment has arrived. After reviewing the arguments presented, he begins, his voice firm. It is clear that the defense relied more on personal attacks than legal reasoning. While the plaintiff's credibility was questioned, there was little substantive evidence to disprove her claims. Richard shifts uncomfortably in his chair. He already knows what's coming. The judge continues, based on the evidence, I rule in favor of the plaintiff, Madonna. A wave of whispers sweeps through the courtroom. Then, reporters scramble for their phones. Camera shutters click rapidly. The news is out. Madonna has won. Richard exhales sharply, his jaw tightening. He doesn't even look at Madonna. He just stares at the desk in front of him. Madonna, however, doesn't gloat. She simply nods, her face unreadable. She stands up gracefully, adjusting her jacket. Then, without another glance at Richard, she walks out of the courtroom with the same quiet confidence she walked in with. The headlines are already being written. Madonna outsmarts ruthless lawyer and wins big. And just like that, the Queen of Pop proves, once again, that she's never been just a performer. She's a force. The news spreads fast. Within minutes, social media is flooded with reactions. Madonna just schooled a top lawyer in court. Iconic. This man thought he could embarrass Madonna? Please. She didn't just win, she performed a courtroom masterclass. Clips from the trial go viral. The moment she delivered her unexpected clapback is shared everywhere. Fans celebrate. Critics are stunned. Even people who aren't Madonna fans admit she handled herself like a legend. Meanwhile, Richard Langston is facing his own public reaction. Legal analysts tear apart his approach. They say he relied too much on intimidation and underestimated his opponent. He tried to play the power game, and Madonna flipped it on him. This case should be studied in law schools for what not to do. Some of his clients start reconsidering their partnerships with him. His reputation is no longer untouchable. And Madonna? She remains silent. No flashy interviews. No dramatic statements, just a simple post on her social media. Never let them define you. No need for more. The world already got the message. Because this wasn't just a courtroom win. It was a reminder. Madonna doesn't just survive, she dominates.